Hello everyone, welcome to Scorched Earth Toys at anymoon.com, special on the progression of super parts over the year. Starting on the left of the screen right now, you will see a reissue of the original Takatoku Super VF1S. This is the 2002 reissue by Bandai, but the super parts on that toy are essentially unchanged from the original. The next toy on the right is Toynami's Masterpiece Collection VF1, released in 2002 with the Appendix A super parts. To the right of that is also a 2002 release. It's Yamato's version 160 VF1 toy with strike parts. And then to the right of that is Yamato's 148 VF1 with super parts that were sold separately. So let's begin with the Bandai toy and go from there. Again, this is a reissue of a 1980, probably 3 toy, originally sold by Takatoku. Now, the way the super parts attach is what we'll focus on in the beginning here. There is an armor that has 2 little tiny pegs and a peg in, or not pegs, yeah, 2 little tiny little hooks in the front, and then this little slide-on clip in the back. And that is what attaches the armor. And it's prone to being knocked off, but more seriously, it's prone to having these 2 front clips break off. And if you wanted to slide the fist back out after you slide it in, obviously you could slide it in by just pushing it in. But if you want to slide it back out, you need to remove the armor, which I won't bother showing you here. The backpack parts attach via a separate connecting piece that slides over top of the backpack and has pegs outward. And then these parts, the booms, just attach to those pegs. And the leg armors have a clip that comes around to the front from the back, and then 2 pegs that attach to this outside shell. Pretty basic stuff. The pegs could be broken, and the clip that comes around to the front is prone to scratching up the paint on the legs. So that was where we started. Then we get to 2002. Now in between then there was actually a joke machine which did a really good job with some super basic super parts, but now we get to the 2002 releases where manufacturers decided to start getting a little more fancy. So you had Yamato and Toynami, who were competing at the time with their 155 and 160 scale releases. Now I say competing, but technically they're separate markets and not really allowed to compete with each other, but whatever. All right, so the cool thing here, the armors now, they attach via a connection in the front that has 1 solid clip, so less prone to breaking, and a clip in the back that's also thick, as well as a mechanism to slide, oops, did not attach it, a mechanism to slide the arm opened and closed without taking the part off. Obviously you have to have it connected pretty well. Okay, the leg armors no longer have a clip that comes around the front. Similar in style, though. There's 2 pegs that come into this outside shell, and then there are 2 pegs that go into the back. So that's how that works. Now Yamato screwed up a little bit because they had a twisting point in the bottom of their leg, and they created an armor that killed that twisting point. And also those connections, the pegs that connect to this outside shell, aren't particularly sturdy. Where Yamato really started getting ahead was with the way these backpack parts attach. They just slide right into the backpack where there's little open pegs, and that's all you need. So that was a big improvement. Yamato also gave us the removable shell and the detail within. So this is where we start seeing super parts get fancy. All right, so again, just slides right back in. Easy peasy. You could also take off the missile boom and replace it with the strike cannon, but the original strike release only came with the strike cannon and the missile boom, so you'd have to have 2 toys to pull that off. All right, so that is the Yamato offering. Around the same time, Toynami came out with this beast, maybe not the prettiest thing in the world. They did things a little differently. They have a magnetic shield for the leg armor, which reveals some basic leg detail, some nice boosters there. They used that 2-peg method that everyone seems to use, but they also had magnets in this back piece, and it slides forward so you can have a clip. So you have a magnet and a clip to make it a little more sturdy. But this is also die-cast metal, and again, we're back to that point where your super parts are scratching your toy underneath. So, bit of a bummer. The other bummer here was that, for whatever reason, the way the magnets work or everything else, or how small those pegs are, it seems like these leg armors want to pop off on you quite a bit. So that was sort of annoying. Toynami wasn't quite as slick with how they attached the backpack parts. Instead, they gave us one piece that slides in to lock the backpack in place, and another piece that comes in from the top that has the pegs outward. So it's kind of a modified version of the original Takatoku design. That's not quite as bulbous, but still doesn't look like it was a thought when they designed the toy in the first place. The arm armors have the same failure of not giving you access to the sliding mechanism, but they do have, they pop out and pop together. Unfortunately, these arm armors have a tendency to slide out on their own and then fall off. So that's pretty annoying. They did include, I don't think I mentioned this on the Yamato. Oops, that's not the right gun. They did include a mechanism or a slot for you to be able to attach the gun, which has escaped me. So you can attach the gun in fighter mode, which was something you could not do with the original Bandai toy. So that's an improvement. Yamato also had incorporated those slots into their armors. So in 2002, you gained that ability. So still some obvious weaknesses though. And those were largely addressed by a toy that still had some problems. That is the Yamato 148. Now, just laying down, my toy has lost its back missile booms, but that gives us an opportunity to take a look at what happens here. The missile booms house an interior missile bay that actually has little tiny missiles that get slotted in and can be popped out with some effort. So that was cool. A little more detail than you got previously. Maybe excess, really. I'll leave that missile out for now. Those pop nicely back into place. You can get rooted up on here. Now, as you can see, the backpack doesn't have a big bulky piece that goes on top. It's just like the version 1/160 toys. It slots right in. The leg armors now, much like Toynami had done, have the ability to pop off and reveal interior detail, which is nice. And this was the first toy that really seemed to clearly be designed from the onset to facilitate super parts. I'll show a little trick to them here. All right. So, one of the ways you can tell that is the mechanism for attaching the leg super parts includes a little trap door to make it less obvious. And they clip on very solidly. And usually you won't have parts with those leg armors popping off. The arm armors do not need to have sliding mechanisms this time around because of the way the 148 toy works with the hands that flip inside instead of sliding out. So that was a bonus. Yamato has always had a tendency to make the arm armors a little too tall. I'm not really sure what that's all about, but so there you go. There were many problems with this toy. Oh, I failed to mention a couple things I failed to mention. So here, I'll take off one of these booms. So I've already shown you the missile bay, but there is also detail within that's very nice. on the 148 toys. So that's nice. The biggest problem probably with the 148 toys was that they included a flip out part that holds the backpack tight, which is good. It keeps the backpack from flopping back, which happened frequently on the version 1160 toys. And also a little cradle here that was supposed to help lock that into place even more so. So those are good things. But the pressure on the backpack, I would say usually because people forgot to take this little fin and pull it in, would often cause the hinge of the backpack to break. So that was a frequent complaint with the 148 toys. Alright, so one thing I forgot to mention again. Oops, here we go. There are little adjustable nozzles on the 155 MPC toys. And on many toys, these nozzles are adjustable. Not on the original Bandai, but on the MPC and the 160 version 1, we got adjustable back nozzles, which carried over to the 148. And then ultimately we get to the version 2 160 toy. Now, one thing I've been glossing over, just because I'm doing this in Batroid mode, is the reaction missiles. The original Bandai toy didn't include reaction missiles. Yamato with their version 1 160 toy gave us reaction missiles. Toynami gave us reaction missiles. Yamato's reaction missiles were largely failures up until we got to version 2. The version 1 toy and the 148 toys easily pop off and are usually more annoying than they're worth. So the version 2 toy kind of solved everything. It has sturdy armor parts. They attach well. The arm armors use the same methodology as the 148 toy. The leg armors also use the same methodology, but everything just fits just a little tiny bit more snug. You do have the same pop-off detail work. It's just a smaller version of the 148 toy. Yamato also offered, through magazine exclusives, clear armor pieces that you can snap on. I'm sure I have a review of that up on anymoon.com if that's something that interests you. Those are also very hard to come by these days. On the version 2 160 toys, the little missiles are not removable. They're just built in. Personally, I prefer that. And you do get, this is probably a good time to take this off, actually. The way these toys attach appears to have been meant to alleviate some of that pressure on that backpack hinge, because now you do get under a support piece that comes underneath. But you can also, not that I do this very often, pop off that armor and get that detail again. And again, you get adjustable boosters here. So that's it. That is your history of the super parts and strike parts that come with the larger scale toys. There are super parts on smaller toys. The Bandai High Metals are actually very decent, kind of copied the, I guess the 148 design more than anything else, but without the detail on the missile boom. So that's it. Visit anymoon.com. I have reviews of all of these things separately, comparisons to line arts, and lots of comparisons to the other toys right there on anymoon.com. Thanks for viewing.